Welcome to another edition of What's Happening at Phoenix. It's a cold, chilly morning. I helped a friend out with a software installation yesterday, prepping a network for software installation. And I don't know how people make these commutes down here. It took me 2 hours to get from Kennesaw, actually 2.5 to get from Kennesaw back home. At any rate, the weather's been kind of cold, and we've showed you what we've done as far as frost protection on the outside. But a lot of people had inquired about what we do for inside our greenhouse. Do we heat our greenhouse? So this video is going to just illustrate some of the techniques we use to keep our stuff warm in the greenhouse in this type of weather. So come on in. This greenhouse is about 4 years old. It's 12 by 24. And as you can see, it got pretty cold last night. There's actually frost formed on it, but that's okay. If we had stuff in here like tomatoes and eggplants and stuff like that, it'd be a much different story. But right now, we just have spring crops in here. So basically what we did, this is our first barrier of protection. So this frosted over, which is perfectly fine with us. And let me just back up a second. Most people are familiar with the regular commercial greenhouses where they have the big heaters in the back and they've got the fans going and it feels like Florida inside of them. The small farmers, that's not usually an economically viable or sustainable solution. So we have to work with Mother Nature and the tools that we have to be able to grow our stuff in an economically viable way. So this is our first barrier of protection. This bears the brunt of the frost. You can see it's fairly heavy. The frost was fairly heavy last night, but the frost gets caught here and not on our plants. Then what we do is we add second and third level layers of protection. So for example, in these are all pole crops right here. And by pole, I mean your brassicas. So you could see these artichokes. Come closer to one. You can see these artichokes made it through just fine. There's no frost. This isn't even frosted. Soil's nice and loose. Same thing for these beautiful cauliflowers. Beautiful cauliflowers. They just made it through with flying colors. Even the baby kohlrabi did well. We have some older kohlrabi here. So for our spring crops, which we're getting an early start on, for our CSA, these did perfectly fine. Same thing with this side. This is a new tool we're trying this year, and you'll also hear the term row covers when it comes to frost protection and protection from cold weather. Row covers are generally a cloth material. In many cases, they are white and they allow both sunlight and water through. Majority of sunlight and water through. So you can string them out. You can drape them over crops in the fields, and they'll protect the crops and also allow water and sunlight to get through. They can be kind of expensive, especially for a small farmer. So we sort of pick and choose when we use those. And they come in varying weight. So the heavier the weight, the more degrees of frost protection it gives you. In here, though, what we've done is we've taken for our younger stuff, we've taken a two-prong approach. This is something new that we're trying this year. This is called a planket. A planket. And Home Depot had them. I said, let me give it a shot. You know, it was $20 for this big piece that basically covers the entire greenhouse, this entire side of the greenhouse. So these are a lot of our babies. We've got leeks here. We've got Swiss chard. So this offers a secondary layer of protection after this, and this gives us one more level by putting these frosts. And once again, these are babies. These are babies, and if there was you can see that there's no problem. This didn't even freeze. It didn't even begin to get cold. In fact, the soil's kind of warm. So this protected our crops fine. If we were dealing with stuff like tomatoes and stuff, which we grow primarily in the house right now because we use the same heat that we use to keep us warm, we keep those tomato plants warm. No sense in spending money to heat a greenhouse to take care of those things when we have some space available in the house to keep that stuff warm. Down here we have our citrus tree. Once again, the same idea. We just drape the layer of plastic. We just drape the layer of plastic down in here. to keep it, give it a secondary layer of protection. This is an orange tree and it smells absolutely awesome this time of year. You can see these little blossoms are coming in and it's just good aromatherapy. You can see there's absolutely no damage to it, but we had to move it out to keep it away from here because you can see there's some ice here. And if this came into contact with this, it would freeze and it would cause plant damage. So by moving it away from this and dripping and doing ice, doing the plastic, it kept this orange tree in fine shape. If we have to add heat, for example, if we had some more tender crops in here, such as tomatoes or peppers or eggplants, where this alone would not suffice, we really would need to add some additional heat source. We use this. We got this at a local discount warehouse store, and it's a heater that basically attaches to a propane tank, just a standard barbecue propane tank. Just turning on one side of this will raise the temperature in here on a night like tonight, like last night, about 20 degrees, 25 degrees. So if it's 32 outside, we can get it up here. We can get it to 52, 55 degrees in here, which is fine even for stuff, unless they're very, very young, even fine for stuff like peppers and tomatoes and stuff, with the second and third levels of protection that we have here. If you don't have one of these, what we used to use up until this year was just a regular burner that comes with like a turkey fryer. You just turn it on low. And the best time to do is right before you go to bed, where it gets colder in the middle of the night. So that's when you really want to turn it on. And to be as sustainable as you can, you really don't want it burning until the plants actually need it. So turn it on before you go to bed. It'll burn through the night, keep everything warm and safe. We didn't even have to use this yet. So we're ahead of the game. It's money that we save, and it's better for the environment and all that good stuff. So this is an idea how we manage these temperatures in our greenhouse and how we continue to grow stuff. I'm going to post another video soon that shows how we deal with some of the more sensitive crops, such as tomatoes and peppers and stuff, which we pretty much use the same techniques, but we add some stuff to it. So this has been another edition of What's Happening in Phoenix. If you haven't signed up for our CSA open house this coming Saturday, please do. You'll get to see a lot of this stuff firsthand, ask questions. You know, it's a lot better sometimes when you see stuff in person. And you get 10% off our spring CSA if you come and sign up. So this has been another edition of What's Happening at Phoenix, sustainable food for a sustainable community.